Welcome to the Tech Journeys podcast. I'm your host, Vincent, and on this podcast, I interview people in tech. As always, this show is sponsored by the Consulting Launch Method, where I help experienced tech professionals build their own consulting business without spending years figuring out the business side. We helped clients go from initial idea to first deal in 90 days and six figures within a year. To learn more, connect with me on LinkedIn and send me a message. On today's show, I'm very excited to have Jaisal Surana on. She is a AI thought leader and in a corporate life, an AI solution architect. But I think the thought leadership that really stood out for me on her profile, which is why I wanted to get her on, as well as she's a STEM advocate as well. So, um, Jaisal, welcome to have you on. Welcome. The first question I always ask, and let's start with, is looking back at your career, what is the decision or the project that you're most proud of, and why? What made it really stand out for you?
Yeah, I think the most important part for me in the whole of the 20 years of career that I have had across tech was getting involved into the diverse perspectives where I could contribute to the AI risk frameworks in order to understand what are the risks for this technology, mainly on children or on the citizens, and also to see whether we are able to build the ethical technology with the right guardrails.
Yeah.
Those were the key areas I think I'm really proud of. So I was able to contribute to some of the risk frameworks within my volunteering with MKI and XRSI. And I really, really love that work. Along with that, with MKI and Monica, one of the champions that we have at MKI, I was able to participate as a co-author and a champion with digital literacy as a part of United Nations Gates program, which is quite important to my heart because as a STEM advocate, I had been working on many of the pillars so that we could have the interest in STEM as a subject globally. And I think one of the foundations for it is digital literacy because a lot of places around the world, I think, are still having issues around that. How many countries are still having an issue with having a laptop or a mobile or electricity even? So I think those are the kind of foundations that can build up onto then bringing up into the world of AI, bridging the gap for the digital divide. I think I'm really proud of these two
These
projects.
two. And what's the sort of background? Why are you so passionate about this? Can you tell me a bit more about that?
Yeah, I think coming from a third world country, let's be honest about it. It's not always easier to get into an engineering background than when I started. Of course, it's easier now, but at that time, it wasn't that easier. And just navigating your way with the help of peers and in a male dominated environment, it was quite important for me that eventually, when I have a time to give back, I think, will I be able to do this? That somebody else can live this journey actually. So that's the whole background of why this all happened, why I got into emerging tech, what made me get into digital literacy or improving the digital divide.
And how in terms of digital literacy, maybe uh, for the listeners that are not fully aware, can you just explain a little bit what you mean by that?
Absolutely. I think, see, whenever COVID came in, if we see for that matter, many of the systems from paper, they went into the computers. So people had to be trained and how to use it. But for people who are in tech already, this is our everyday bread and butter. This is what we know, or this is what we live. So I think digital literacy is more about understanding what a device and a technology, both a combination of both, can do for you, bring in more automation, and also make your repetitive tasks easier and less manual.
Okay. And how can you maybe share some examples of what you've done in terms of the as part of your STEM advocacy and other things to help people in that space?
Yeah, I think for STEM advocacy, mostly I've done a lot of mentoring. I was also an enterprise advisor for a Midlands partner association called SEMLab. And I was able to go to schools and educate them about STEM subjects and digital skills. Other than that, I have been on to the advisory board on Cranfield for some of the subjects where I could, give the gaps that our education systems might have and what we could get into the curriculum. I think those are the areas where I have looked at STEM. Then, of course, judging the awards for Women Leaders UK, that helps to bring out that STEM perspective and
Yeah.
look at people's profiles. That has been quite helpful. So, a lot of mentoring in and out, different age people. That doesn't matter whether it's adults or young students. And I've been doing that all throughout. It has never stopped since I started. So I think that's very close to my heart, because a lot of times when I was the enterprise advisor, I still remember I was told by my coordinator that a lot of people might not even know what an architect is. And I think you should bring that perspective to people's minds that you could become this. These are the pathways that you could have in your career. And that brought the thought into my mind that we're missing something. We need to mentor more people, raise more awareness. I think that was the key thing for me.
Oh, that's good to hear. So where I sort of started a little bit the thought process. Fantastic. Now, if you were starting your tech career again, because you've been in tech for 20 years, you said, right? So if you were starting your tech career again, knowing what you know now with all the changes in tech, right? There's continuous sort of big changes happening. Um, and what is maybe the one thing that you would do differently, or the one thing you would tell your younger self?
Yeah. So I think I just want to add one thing that I would change is the access to knowledge base. uh, it was hard to get an access to knowledge base of digital technology and tools, and that is what I would like to change. The hardship to get to a level where you know a lot about digital technology, and to find the resources was harder, and that is what I would like to change.
And can you give me an example of what kind of resources that you would point people to now? Here.
Yeah, so let's say now we have access to newsletters. You can do some automated things onto your emails. If you wanted to read through the news today, or if you want to read books, you could have Notebook LLM do, short podcast for you. Just load the books for you. It'll do your Audible podcast for you. So there were no tools and technologies, plus even reading material, which is available now online, and that was missing. So to understand more about what AI is, we had to rely on a lot of books, and the knowledge was not up to there because it was now all the countries are growing, but that time you could see the digital divide quite a bit, that between UK and India I could see a difference. That technology wise, we had less resources, we didn't know much about AI then.
Yeah.
Maybe people were working in pockets and silos, but it was not publicly available in universities where you could, because AI was one of my elective subjects in engineering, but it was very just to know about AI. It was very low level. It was not that much which could have helped me to become a solutions architect. So I think that was what was missing, which is an advantage to the youth now.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, access to information nowadays is so probably just it's almost like there's almost too much information to some extent. So it's almost like
Yes, and misinformation.
and misinformation. True. Yeah. Yeah, that's even more dangerous, especially when AIs assume it's real or it is accurate.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So now I think yeah, in terms of your career, then I mean, how did you sort of did you start off as a solution architect? I mean, that's I think a role you grew into. So how did you get sort of into that kind of role?
No, I think I started as a developer. I was a .NET developer and a web developer. And from there, I jumped into being a data specialist, then a data analyst. Then I moved into business analysis and data architecture, then data modeling and data architecture, and then into solution architecture. So it's been a long journey. And I think exploring the various lenses at which you see the business side and the technical side.
Yeah. And is that, I mean, obviously you're working a lot with emerging technologies now also in
Yes.
your day job, but so, I mean, how do you see that? Yeah. I mean, has it changed a lot since you started?
Yes, absolutely. I mean, when I started looking at AI as such, it was only upcoming as no code and low code plus platforms.
Yeah.
Then there was some exploration that I did on IoT with the help of sensors and actually physical devices. But that has now all changed. You could do everything now with the help of APIs. A lot of things with APIs. So it has gone far away from where it was.
Fantastic. Now, the other question and I'd like to chat about really is what are the next chapter of your career and maybe your thought leadership sort of role, your advocacy roles. Where do you see that? Or what does that look like for you over the next
I
step?
think I think more understanding and implementation of more governance. It's very important with emerging tech. Understanding more about how the data gets absorbed for the wearable devices or XR for that matter uh, is an interest area for me. I've been doing some work on it in the background for a couple of years, but I think that's the future. You are able to see a lot of data being absorbed by the wearable devices. So there are emerging risks because of that. That is one of the interest areas that I have, how we could govern that and bring in the guardrails for all of these devices.
For the devices, or is it also?
Both at the intersection of AI, basically, anything that exists over there, the guardrails for that is quite important for me.
Yeah. And how do you see the guardrails, in the context of the big AI companies? Will they respect the guardrails, in that way?
I mean, I believe that the responsible organizations are already doing it. They are already doing the design thinking. They are already thinking of safety during the design phase itself. So I think we have to look at that aspect. But at the same time, we need to see that regulations also will need to go faster. We know that certain penalties of the UAI Act will be upcoming, but we need to move fast because if you see the AI that existed earlier was only machine learning or some kind of automation. But with the agentic coming in and much more into it, there's much more control that AI could have if you are not able to govern it properly and have the guardrails correctly. So I think responsible organizations are already doing it because it can see it's a two-way sword, right? If you don't govern it, it's going to harm your data as well. It's going to cause data leakage. So that's why most organizations are thinking about safety already.
Fair. So that's the direction where you see your career going
Yeah.
to continue and more in that direction.
Yes, and child safety. Child safety is one area which is of my interest.
Child safety for AI. So
Online
you mean what?
online safety, mainly the Online Safety Act,
Okay.
interests me. What are the gaps in that, and how children are getting affected because of the new technology, the cognitive skills or the critical thinking skills, how are they changing, and what we need to do about that.
And I mean, I do agree, right? That there's an element of critical thinking that we're handing over to AI if we let it, right? So what's the idea? What's your thoughts on how to prevent that loss of critical thinking in children? How do you do that?
Yeah, I think the over reliance or dependability on any of the tools, AI tools, without even checking the outcomes is what people are not realizing. I think this is the message where all people like us who are the SMEs are spreading across wherever we are talking, that you can't be over dependent on the tools itself, and you are responsible and accountable for those outcomes. You need to check those outcomes as well. You
Yeah.
can't just copy and paste the material and submit it. It doesn't work that way. So I think once you just use AI as assisting you and also are able to review what it's doing, then automatically you are thinking critically, isn't it? That's the key point, right?
Yes.
You're always in the loop. You have an oversight of what's happening. Yeah, of course, there are loopholes there where agentic AI will take micro decisions, and you need to be careful about that. But I think each human being has a responsibility when they are using AI.
Yeah, it's a matter of giving them the responsibility and them taking it.
Yeah.
Fantastic. So what's the best way for people to get in touch with you, Jaisal?
It's LinkedIn.
LinkedIn?
So yeah.
Yeah.
So they can look up at Jaisal Surana and they should be able to get in touch with me.
Fantastic. Well, I recommend everyone checking out all the great stuff you do, Jaisal. Thank you so much for being on the show. I really appreciate it. As a reminder to everyone listening, this show is sponsored by the Consulting Launch Method, where I helped experienced tech professionals build their own consulting business without spending years figuring out the business side. Yeah. We've helped clients go from first idea to first client in 90 days and 6 figures within a year. To learn more, connect with me on LinkedIn and send me a message. Jaisal, it's been a pleasure. Speak to you
Thank
soon.
you.
Take care.
Speak soon. Take care.